That is nothing new to us because on every program, Ambassador, that I've appeared on, I have always emphasized the aspect of unity, the aspect of us uniting as an opposition. From the time we were having our intra-party elections to this particular moment, we still sing the same song as to how best we can work together, how best we can unite around the salvation of Zambia. That is what has been important. You may recall that the time we were deciding to say, let's pick a flag bearer as the Patriotic Front party, someone that is going to lead us into the next election. We had 9 to 11 candidates that showed interest to be able to lead the party. Having done so, of course, there were a lot of it were coming in between postponements and things of that sort that came in the way until eventually we decided, listen, we need to go ahead, we need to move on because we can't keep hoping that the courts are going to act on time and give us back the Patriotic Front Party. In the meantime, there are machinations and moves to stop us from using the name Patriotic Front Party. Why don't we then have a process that we're going to use to pick a leader amongst ourselves, and then that leader will lead the party and the structures, and will be able to pick a special purpose vehicle. My colleague, Honorable Mundubile, was one of those people. You were one of the people that participated in that. Honorable Given Lubinda, Honorable Mao Sampa, Honorable Chimbakambuli, we participated in that process. But along the way, we saw that others went out. My brother, Honorable Mundubile, went out. You withdrew from the race, withdrew. A lean number remained, and we said we are going to move. And as President Lubinda had put it, we agreed that, listen, let us pick a leader from amongst ourselves using a process that will carry the structures along. If they give us the Patriotic Front Party, we will go and we will run on the Patriotic Front Party ticket. If not, we're going to use a special purpose vehicle. This is not alien, the use of a special purpose vehicle. It's not alien because remember when it came to the by-election in Petauke, we used NCP. We used FDD in Kasama. In Wapula, we used NCP and we used FDD as well as special purposes vehicle. But never at any of this point did we say that we no longer cease to exist as this grouping that called itself the Patriotic Front Party. And obviously, we knew that we were all going to act in a noble way. We're all going to act with integrity. We're all going to have a sense of morality as we're going through this process. Eventually, the process ended, and I was elected to lead this grouping, and we were to work towards participating in these elections to come. And I have not come to be able to address the media, to address the nation, to address the concerns or the happenings around the party as yet. And I have this opportunity to do so now, thanks to you. But what may have been underlying this, the public and everybody wish to know, is that it was not a desire to project it as the vanquished and someone who has won, because we understood it, or well, should I say, I understood it as a process where we mutually came together to pick someone who was going to lead all of us. Now, in every contestation of some sort, there are heartbreaks, there are disappointments, and there can only be one winner. But how this particular winner takes that role is also very important. So it's been a period of engagement, trying to talk to build unity within the party and also build unity with those that are outside the party. You've seen me having engagements with those in the party. You've seen me having engagements with those outside the party, the likes of Buhari Kalaba, the likes of my older brother KBF, you have seen all those engagements. And this engagement with my brother, Brian Mundubile, is nothing new, but something that is working towards us coming together and having a united force to be able to emancipate Zambia from the doldrums that it has been subjected to, from what President Hakainde Hichilema has made of this country. There are a lot of things that are of concern, but these things have to be approached with a united front. The people of Zambia have called on Zambians, on the opposition to unite. The church has called on the opposition to unite. The civil society, the chiefs have called us to unite. They've sat us down, they've spoken to us. And we said, we can't be so stiff-necked in the idea of not coming together. We have to look at what the common purpose is, and that is the emancipation of Zambia. And we've made it abundantly clear. I have appeared on many a fora, and I have stated that it is important that we build a united force. It is not about who takes up the top position or the second position or any other position for that matter. It is about what is going to be the winning formula towards emancipating Zambia. And in all the discussions that we've had with my colleagues, I have made it abundantly clear that I do not have to be at the top of it, or they do not have to be at the top of it. Look at what is going to gain us more votes, what is going to gain us to be a force that has to that has to go into this election and compel, or at least be inspiration enough for people to come through and vote. So we have been having discussions, and at this point, I can confirm that we have opened up discussions with my brother Brian Mundubile. We are yet to conclude. We are still engaging. As late as today, I did reach out to my brother to see if we can further our discussions, or at least have an appointment where we are going to sit down and see how best we can respond to the call by the Zambians. We have met a couple of times in the last so, and we will continue engaging as we go towards the nominations. So, we must differentiate between dealing with personal issues, issues of personal character, and issues to do with the party, as it were. Everybody knows where the true Patriotic Front party is. At the time, there was that movement by our brother Mao Sampa when he held his convention of the 24th of October, 2023, and purported to change the names at Registrar of Societies. Everybody knew that that was a sham election. Everybody knew that Mao Sampa was not the president of the Patriotic Front Party. And they knew where the Patriotic Front Party was. Every one of us who was with President Edgar Chagwa, we looked at ourselves to be on the right side, and that is where the Patriotic Front Party is. And that is the Patriotic Front Party that has been winning all these elections that we've been having using special purpose vehicles. Even when our brother Mao Sampa himself, when a first one was pulled on him and Chavinga took over, everybody knew where the Patriotic Front Party was. And it is for that reason that you saw Mao Sampa saying, I have come back to the fold. He knew that he had gone wrong. And at that press briefing, he made it known to the world that this is where the Patriotic Front Party, where Edgar Chagwa was, is where the Patriotic Front Party was. And that is the true Patriotic Front Party as it is. And today, we know that the true Patriotic Front Party is being led by Makebi Zulu, because we know that all the structures that we had under the PF, whose papers were stolen, whose documentation moved to others who command no respect from our structures, who have no authority over our structures, who can't even hold a meeting with our structures, are holding on to the papers of the PF. Of course, there have been these issues, the back and forth, and it is quite alarming right now that we can go back to default settings to try and make true that which isn't and assume it was. It shouldn't be like that. Morality will not allow you to do that. It is wrong. Every Zambian knows it is wrong. We can't pursue power in a corrupt manner and want people to believe that blue is green when it actually isn't. We have to be truthful, we have to be forthright and say, listen, we were wrong at some point, we did everything wrong, and now we have to get forward. This personal interest of trying to factionalize the PF is only weighing down on character individuals. We are where we are because of character flaws and not anything to do with principle. If we had principled leadership, as it were, in the conduct or in our behavior, we wouldn't even be having what we are seeing today. We wouldn't even be saying their factions. If we are going to be forthright and call a spade for what it is, we know that we have detractors and then we have the real PF. And that real PF is now being led by myself, and we have picked the Resolute Party as our special purpose vehicle that we intend to use in this coming election. You see, what we had agreed, we had a central committee meeting where we had agreed that we are going to move in this manner for purposes of the election. And that is why every Zambian now is able to say, what vehicle are you using? The reason it's being called a vehicle is because everybody has gotten to understand that there are circumstances that do not allow us to use the Patriotic Front party. But we need to go with a party for purposes of cohesion, for purposes of fostering unity. We need to be held together by some glue of some sort. And that glue that we have chosen to go by is the Resolute Party. This has been a process that has undergone confirmation by the Central Committee meeting. Our Council of Elders in the party was tasked to look amongst the political parties that were available and be able to choose or which would be best suited. And that the Resolute Party is one such party that was proposed by the Council of Elders. This process, remember, began even before I took over the reins of leadership. That's where the process started from. It is a process that was inherited, and the party needs to remain alive. The party needs to go on ahead. But even with that, what we have said is that whatever commotion, whatever thing may have been caused in between, all is forgiven. Let's come back together. Let's work together. Let's salvage Zambia before we go into deeper doldrums of uncertainty, of tyranny, of tribalism, of regionalism, of all things not right. Before we can get into those extremes, let us salvage the situation, and we can only do so together. And that is our call. A call for unity, a call for realization of the direction that we want to take the party to, a call for selflessness in this approach, and a call for introspection as to what the Zambians really want. Posterity is going to judge us harshly if we don't work together in the manner that Zambians want us to. They know what they don't want. They know that the UPND has failed. They don't even want us to be talking about the UPND. They are saying, you are our hope. Come together. Let us know what you're going to do for us. Whatever the case, we know that you would certainly be better than the UPND. You've been there, you've been tested, you had your errors. We hope you've worked on your errors, and we are willing to trust you again with the reins of power. But only come together and you will help us make a decision to choose you. That is what every Zambian is saying.
This brings me to this question. Clearly, there is utter rejection of the UPND. But Zambians are losing hope that even this late hour, the opposition have not come together. The leadership still pursuing both party and personal ambitions. Here we have over 27 candidates that have paid, and I've only seen one withdrawal. This doesn't seem to give hope to Zambians who hoped that you'd come together. And brings me to these questions. You have stated that you've had talks with, from John Sangwa to Honorable Harry Kalava to KBF, maybe to Socialist Party. I don't know if you have spoken, and now you are engaging with Brian Mundubile. What has been difficult to come together?
See, I must say that no door is closed. The conversations are still going on in the background. We are talking to everyone, and everyone is talking to everyone for purposes of coming together. This approach is not that should be made light of. It should not be made light of because we know the machinations that are going on the part of the UPND. The desire to ensure that they choose who the opposition is going to be. You've seen how that they've interfered with the Office of the Registrar of Societies. That is there for everyone to see. And we know that the targeting of political parties, this desire to send in the opposition is very high. Look at what is happening to Kasonde Mwenda. Kasonde Mwenda is taken in merely for saying that the president may have lost his way in Chinsali. Now that becomes a case. That becomes a case where someone is being put in custody for so long a time without charge, and the opposition is there. Now, that same comment that was made by Kasonde Mwenda, if it had been made by, say, any other person, would that person have been taken in? I think not. I think this is a clampdown on the opposition. And in the approach that we are taking, in this approach where over 20 have at least expressed interest, we need to now start cutting down, or at least coming down to the reasonable numbers that we desire to be. Because we know that even amongst these that have expressed interest, there are those that are projects of the ruling party. We know that there are those that, I call them projects because they sympathize with the cause of the ruling party. It's not a desire at all to change government or indeed to come and save the Zambian people better. The real opposition is known. The numbers are very lean, and I'm very certain that eventually these lean numbers will manifest, because these processes that we're going through are going to vet out, and obviously I foresee a place where there may be resolution as to how we're going to approach. But we can't necessarily approach this election blindly. We need to be tactical in the manner we're going to approach it. We need to be resolute, as we are a Resolute Party, resolute in the manner that we're going to approach this election, to be able to tell the Zambian people, or at least where we can't tell them, we should be able to be strategic in our approach. How are we going to ensure that ECZ is not going to bring extra rules apart from those that are brought in by the Constitution? Because we've seen this insatiable desire where rules that are alien to the Constitution are being introduced using subsidiary legislation. If the Constitution is going to give us, or as it has done, what are the qualifications for a person standing as a presidential candidate? You can't, by subsidiary legislation, add more or subtract from what the Constitution has said. It has to be in line with what the Constitution has said. But we have seen moves by the government using the ECZ, trying to introduce new requirements for purposes of qualification for nominations or indeed participation in the election. These are things that we should frown upon as Zambians. These are things that we should speak loudly against. If we can't go to court and challenge this because we think the courts are compromised, let us speak loudly when we go to the ballot and vote. Let us speak loudly, and we must. This government must know that the Zambians are resolved that they should go. Whether they are going to take KBF out, whether they're going to take my brother Harry Kalaba out, whether they're going to take Mundubile out or myself out, we should be able to say we are going to rally behind a particular candidate for purposes of emancipation of Zambia, because we can't be living in such an environment where success is punished, where promotions or the civil service is at its worst in terms of cohesion in the civil service. Everyone is disgruntled, everyone is complaining, but we're being told of graphs and numbers that don't really translate into better human life, better living standards for our people. We have to get back to the drawing board. What is going to be good for the Zambian who is at home? That Zambian who's taking children to school, that Zambian who has to put food on the table. Have they eaten? That Zambian who is running a barber shop, have they only been given power because we're going towards an election? That Zambian who says they want to benefit through the processes of government in terms of supply to the government, are those going to continue being given to a preferred few? Are we going to have business for a select few, those that are related or indeed connected to those that are in government? Are we going to disqualify Zambians merely because they are seen to affiliate to a particular opposition, or belong to a particular region? Are we going to have to continue with that? All those are things that we have to take into consideration and emancipate Zambia before we degenerate into something worse. Everybody knows that we can't have another 5 years with the UPND. It is for that reason that all those selfish ambitions that we may have, we must be able to subject them to a scale of what weighs more: the interests of the country, indeed the interests of individuals. It is for that reason that, having put all these on the table, we said, let us talk, let us weigh our interests and see to it that the interest of every Zambian is put first. To the government and to President Hakainde Hichilema and everyone at ECZ, is it possible for you to subvert the will of the people? Is it possible for you to decide for and on behalf of the Zambians as to what exactly they want? The very rules that have existed are the ones that brought the UPND into power. To change rules, to think you can legislate the will of the people, is amiss in itself. Now, to address the question that you asked, is it possible to have a credible election in Zambia? It is possible to have a credible election in Zambia. It is possible because the Zambians themselves will form an opinion of what credibility is. No matter how much you may legislate or choose to disenfranchise certain individuals, at the end of the day, they have to make a decision. They have to make a decision whether they have to continue with the kind of National Assembly that we have, which is an embarrassment in the region. They have to make a decision whether they'll have to continue with a judiciary that is seemingly openly compromised. They have to make a decision whether they want a government that meddles in the affairs of the institutions of governance. They have to make a decision whether they want a civil service that is so polarized. What Zambians are asking for are civil service reforms. They want reforms in the police. They want a fair way of employing people in government. They want to see that there's rule of law and they're not being stifled into silence. You can't now say that the Cybersecurity Act, which you have enhanced in its unreasonableness, to be good law merely because it shuts people up. Those people you think you have shut up are speaking at their kitchen tables. And as we speak at our kitchen tables, we have already decided that the UPND must go. These are necessary voices that any open government, any democratic government should be able to sit back and say, what are the people saying? What do the Zambian people want? And if they ask themselves those genuine questions, then their governance style is going to change. They'll respect the rule of law, they'll respect the freedoms of Zambians, they'll respect the very people that put them there, and they should be able to work with trust to say, if we are going to do the right thing, we trust that the Zambians will bring us back. The moment you try to change the rules to fit your situation, then that's an admission that you have failed in the area of governance. You have failed to deliver on the promises that you said you would deliver to the Zambian people. And now you want to subvert their will to suit your circumstances. That is not the Zambia we know. That is not how Zambians work. It may work in other countries where rules or anything are changed to suit the circumstances of the leader that is there. But for Zambia, we know that when Zambians come together and make a decision for change, that change must come. That decision has been made by Zambians. There is no time to rectify the wrongs that the UPND have done. And now Zambians are saying, we are resolved, we are resolute in the manner that we're going to approach this election. And perhaps the Resolute Party is the way to go. Perhaps a united opposition is the way to go. And Zambians are saying, give us a leader in a united front, and we will give you the vote. And that is the call that we're responding to right now. We urge those citizens at ECZ, Zambia is beyond you. Zambia is beyond your personal needs. Zambia is beyond your holding of those positions. Give the Zambians a free and fair election. President Hakainde Hichilema, you have an obligation to give the Zambians a free and fair election. After all, they're the ones who are paying for it. It is their money that is going into this election. They are the ones that gave you the mandate to say, let's see what you can do in these 5 years. And if you do not work in accordance with this agreement we call your manifesto, we have a right and power under our constitution to say, there is a door, let's bring in another person. Let us not have posterity judge you harshly for making decisions that are personal and not national in nature.
The happenings at Parliament have alarmed all stakeholders. You have members of Parliament, most of them belonging to the Patriotic Front, that have formally announced that they've defected to the UPND. And the Speaker today ruled, I played the video earlier, that there's no evidence that those members of Parliament defected to the UPND. Clearly, this is an attack on justice. You're a constitutional lawyer, and I'm asking you in that capacity. Is a speaker right? Can we allow this, the abuse of the National Assembly? You have members who have defected, crossed floors, and in accordance with our constitution, they've broken the law. They cannot sit in Parliament and pass these 77 new laws, collect allowances, and still purport that, they are legitimately there. I don't know what your thoughts are in light of the announcement that has been made by the president, by the speaker.
That's a circus. I listened to that particular ruling. That indeed is a circus. And that is why we're saying that we need to build strong institutions that are not dependent on individuals. Because what has been seen is an erosion of integrity, an erosion of morality. Even members of parliament, how do you as a member of parliament say you have defected to the ruling party and the next day you show up in parliament? I must commend Honorable Katotowe for the decision that he made, because he knows the consequences of abrogating the very constitution that we have given to ourselves. Now, this is a constitutional breach that we are looking at. It is not for the UPND or indeed the speaker to enhance or to look at what serves the interests of the UPND in this case. It is, what does the law say? What have we chosen to be our governing rules? When a person crosses the floor, what do we do in those circumstances? You can't say there is no evidence when there's it's in public domain. There are certain things that are a notorious fact, certain things that you take cognizant of. In law, we say you take judicial notice of certain circumstances. You can't necessarily say that I am not aware, or indeed it has not been brought to my attention. When it is in the public domain, it has an effect on the integrity of the person that is making on that decision, and also the integrity of the persons that are involved in those acts. Did they call them? Did they answer to that question? Did they watch the video? The speaker doesn't claim that she stays in Jupiter or Mars every day, goes and comes back and doesn't know what is going on around. But even then, when a point of order is raised in that particular manner, and there is need for further evidence, go for it if you think there is need for further evidence. But have these people said no? Of course they haven't said no. We have had strange rulings from this particular speaker. And all rulings that have been strange in this nature are those that are skewed towards supporting the ruling party. That's what it's been. You saw how that this very speaker was dancing against the decorum of the House when Bill 7 was passed. Is that what you expect of a speaker? Is that what you expect a speaker to be doing? Where a question is asked to the executive and the executive doesn't answer, it's the speaker who's answering that question? Is that the kind of parliament you want for yet another 5 years? The kind of parliament that changes rules to be able to remove a member of parliament who has been elected by the people? How are you going to have such rules? You dream up of rules where absenteeism now calls for removal from the House when the punishment is only 30 days without pay? Is that the kind of assembly we want? The calls for change of government is even higher, even on that score alone. The calls for change of government is higher, to a government that is going to respect our law. Because this government has shown in more ways than many that they're incapable of upholding the Constitution. They want institutions to banter or to sing to what they want. They want the law to serve their purpose. Oh, because I'm keeping cows, I'll make the idea of stock theft non-bailable. Because you're personally affected by that. It shouldn't be like that. It should be what is in the interest of the Zambian people. What is what is in accordance with the law. That's the kind of responsible government that we require. And this government has failed that test. This National Assembly has failed that test. The judiciary has failed that test. The executive has failed that test. We need overhaul. You have the office of the ombudsman, now referred to as the public protector, which is redundant. We need a government that is going to make function of the office of the public protector, so that the public knows where to run to when things of this sort are happening. These officials in government should be made to account. We need that accounting system, because without accountability, then the aspect of responsibility is vitiated. We can't have a responsible government that is when there's no accountability. And this is one example of an irresponsible government. And this election should be a determinant of where Zambia must go. Indeed, we're at a crossroads and decisions have to be made. The Bible says, multitudes, multitudes in the valley of decision. For the day of the Lord is near in the valley of decision. And indeed, we are this multitude as Zambians in this valley of decisions. And we have to make that decision so that the will of the Zambian people and the will of God be done in this country. That is blatant disrespect of the Constitution. The president, in no uncertain terms, named individuals and said they had joined the UPND, What is the legal implication of that? Our constitution says if you were voted for on a particular ticket and you choose, was a member of parliament, to join another party, you lose your seat. And if you are an independent member of parliament, having been voted for as an independent member of parliament, you choose to join a political party, during the subsistence of your term in office, you cease to be a member of parliament. That is the law, so clear. Just that the research team and everybody else never came across this. Is listen, or in earlier, only 3 days left. Why not say they've lost their seats? There will not be any buy-in. But because there's this insatiable appetite to show that there was participation, other who Ethiopian in coming up with these laws that they are churning out every day, as if you possibly understand to say, okay, just let them go. But there's this appetite to churn out these laws in a very fast way, without deep reflection and consideration and participation of stakeholders. They want to pass these laws. That is the only explanation you can give to this. Otherwise, this speaker went amiss. Whatever that ruling was, it's not even worth the paper that it's written on. It has no legal reasoning to it whatsoever. You can't even waste time to try and go and challenge it, because time is gone now. But perhaps for posterity, it is important that such matters should be taken up, and hope that the judiciary will for once do what is right, will for once consider what the rule of law is, and the importance thereof to this country. We hope that we can have a system that will be changed. We need an overhaul. We need a serious cleanup for purposes of putting our country back on the right track. And it will take a lot. It will take every Zambian to wake up that day to go and vote. And it will take every Zambian to be resolved in the approach that they are going to take, as we are resolved as Resolute Party, to say we are resolute that Zambia needs a new course. Zambia needs a new direction. Zambia needs new leadership that will put the people first, that will put the interests of the Zambians first, that will look to put more money in people's pockets and not in the individuals that are leading the government. We have to be resolved in that regard, not the circus that we were witnessing at the National Assembly.
This is as a collective as the opposition should be.
This problem began the moment we allowed the Kwacha and Kabushi constituency by-election to go in the manner that they went, where ECZ becomes a law unto themselves, introduces new rules and regulations as to how the election should be conducted, who qualifies to be a candidate, away from what the law provides. That is what they were meant to do. That decision was challenged. What happened? We were disadvantaged by the courts. We were disadvantaged by the courts. The courts participated in an illegality, in that they knew that this matter should be taken care of in a particular space of time, but even went to an extent of giving a stay that made it go beyond the specified period, and make sure that the matter lapsed before a proper decision could be made in that regard. That was the beginning of ECZ being a nuisance in this process. They have moved from being an umpire, an independent umpire, to being the active participants in a game that has played between teams. They have come up with issues that are only targeted at the opposition. There is nothing that the ECZ has stated in terms of regulations outside the law that they may have felt affected the ruling party. Everything is targeted at the opposition. In this particular regard, you notice that they did all those things and they realized, and this is confirmation that they knew that they were doing something that's unlawful. Now they are seeking to amend the law to say certificates must be signed by the Secretary General of the party or the President of the party. That is the law that is before Parliament. Now they've come up with a new regulation to say that the adoption certificate, where the candidate is not a president of the party, the president of the party and the Secretary General must sign. Where are they getting that from? You've already told us that either one of them can sign, and you are putting that into law. Is that a submission that they are making to the National Assembly? No, it is not a submission they are making to the National Assembly. They've already broadcasted to the people. Even that issue that is in the National Assembly, they talked of it when we had a stakeholders meeting, passing a bill as though it is already law, telling people what should happen over a matter that was just a bill. Now the process has begun. And this process that has begun, we have a situation where we need to have over 1,800 councillors in different places. Should the ECZ, the Electoral Commission of Zambia, be the one to regulate the internal affairs of a political party? Should an adoption certificate in Kaputa for a ward councillor be signed by a Secretary General of a party? Do you want a Secretary General of a party to sit down now and sign over 2,000 adoption certificates for all the candidates around the country? That includes the councillors who are way above 1,800. You have council chairpersons, you have members of parliament, as well as the president. You need your Secretary General to sit and sign all those. Now, you wonder what has given ECZ this authority to intermeddle in the affairs of a political party. You want the registrar of societies to determine what should go in the constitutions of political parties and how they regulate themselves. And you want the registrar of society to carry out that which the executive wants. If they refuse to, you put them on leave. The registrar of society, the whole office, has not been in office all these years, from 2023 at least, has not been in office. What offense did she commit? The offense she committed is she refused to change the office bearers for the Patriotic Front Party because she said that she did not agree that the convention of the 24th of October 2023 was held in the manner that the PF Constitution provided for. What happened? She was removed and charged, and now she's at home. Everyone who's purported to be a registrar of society right now, I should think they're only in an acting capacity, because the holder of the office is together with over 430 civil servants that have been told to remain at home from the time this government came. They have removed them, told them to remain at home. They are getting paid for staying at home, and those that are in their positions are getting paid for acting in those positions. That is a very big waste of resources. You have a human resource that is at home being paid for doing nothing, and you have human resource that has taken up those positions being paid an acting allowance as though the holders of those offices are there. That is an abuse of office. That is corrupt. That is an overreach when it comes to the running of the civil service. No wonder we have a civil service that is so disgruntled, that's so demotivated. We need to get back to the basics and do what's right for the country.
Before we open the phone lines, I have two questions for you. First, let's talk briefly about the U.S. ambassador. He castigated the government of President Hakainde Hichilema, calling it corrupt, dishonest, and the misrule that he exposed, including the appointment of persons that are being investigated by the anti-corruption to head the very anti-corruption commission. He also talked about that reforms by President Hakainde Hichilema are bogus, because he says there are no sacred cows and that they'll fight corruption from the past, present, and future. You have an anti-corruption commission that has discontinued investigations against key ministers that were deemed to have participated in corruption. I think that this statement by the Michael Gonzalez, the outgoing US ambassador, were very profound. I don't know what your thoughts are about that.
Well, you also need to say that there was a response, an abysmal one for that matter, as to what the American ambassador said. See, the American ambassador was very categorical over the issues that were of concern. The response from government was a blanket one. They did not address each and every one of those. It is an issue that I've raised before. Why were there changes in the pricing from 400 or at least over 400 million all the way up to 800 million? These monies on top. What has happened to the loan that was given towards the same road? And if there was a loan that was given to the company to be recovered in 25 years by the Chinese government, what is our NAPSA with that contractor? If the contractor was given NAPSA money, why is the contractor being given to run the toll gates for purposes of recovering the money and paying back to NAPSA? Why was the consortium given $30 million for doing nothing? If that is not corruption, what is it then? Shouldn't you have specifically addressed those issues and stated whether or not they were true? This issue of pollution of the Kafue River on the Copper Belt and the dangers that it posed to the Zambian people, isn't it an act of recklessness if you're not going to address it as to look at the safety of the people that you govern, the people that you hope to campaign to come and vote for you? Shouldn't it be a matter of concern? An issue was raised as to how monies are being taken to East Asia, moving from our economy into East Asia. Shouldn't that be a matter of concern? Shouldn't you address it specifically and say there are no such things that are going on? Okay, there's this aid that has been given, and the misappropriation of the aid, or the idea of those that are said to be perpetuating these wrongs only go away with a slap on the wrist. Should that be the case? Is it not true that the person that was appointed at ACC was undergoing investigations at that particular time? And this time around, the people that are being appointed as judges who are still under investigations, is it right that we should proceed in that manner? Is it right that we should only have courts created to try certain people, those that belonged to the PF government, and anyone else goes to the normal courts, but these courts are specifically created to deal with those people, or at least the close associates of those that were in PF? Is that a right thing? Are you telling us that there has been no corruption within the UPND in the last few years? This corruption that has been said to have existed, are there people that are undergoing trial for having abused or misused government resources? Those that are seemingly close to this government and those that are in government and holding positions of power are being let loose. The Financial Intelligence Center report is talking about the outflows and the inflows of monies that are suspected to be illicit. What has this government done about that? Pretty much nothing. So all those things that were raised by the ambassador of the United States of America were not speculative in nature. And he is on record of having said, listen, we have brought this to the attention of the government. We have asked to engage. And what has been said, noted, later, some other time, all those things have been said and made known to the public, because the allegiance of every one of us should be to the Zambian people and not to the leadership in power. The American people are helping the Zambian people, not the leaders of political parties who are in government. That is not the lamentation. How that he cried that this aid, in terms of medication that was coming into Zambia, or indeed support towards the health sector, was misappropriated more times than many. And it is the poor Zambian that has to suffer, that has to be told, go and buy medicine from a pharmacy. And when they go to a pharmacy, possibly they'll find that the medication that they have been told to buy says not for sale, donated by USAID. Is that what we will continue to subject our people to? Should we have, in this time and age, painkillers being bought from pharmacies and not being available in hospital? What has happened to the cancer diseases hospital? Where are the reagents for the laboratories? Should people continue going to Tanzania now? Shouldn't we have been saying, okay, we have one at UTH, a cancer disease hospital. Let's build one in Livingston. Let's build one in Mongo. Let's build one in Kasama. Let's build one in Chipata, so that our people are able to access these facilities nearby. But we let it run down. We say there is no money, and the next thing we're saying, we paid China by mistake from ZESCO. We paid $8 million by mistake. Who makes such a mistake? Who makes such a mistake in an economy such as ours? When $80 million moves, you feel it. Is that the sort of government that we want to continue in power? Where even cooperating partners are worried. If what has been brought by others is not respected, other countries have helped us, what is not respected and accounted for properly, what about the taxpayers' money? What about our own money that is being collected from these toll gates and in the markets? What is it being used? It is no wonder the cost of living is only going higher, because there's no proper use of the resources that we have. More of those that come in and are willing to give feedbacks than those that want to come in and do business that will benefit the Zambians. Let the resources benefit the Zambians. Let there be fair investment where Zambians are the ultimate beneficiaries and not those in power purporting to give opportunities to foreign entities only to line up their pockets. That should not be the case, and that should be frowned upon. And that's why we are resolved that as Resolute Party, we will make changes to how government is run, and we'll show the UPND, or at least take them to class, as how to govern Zambia and ensure that the cost of living is reduced and the resources work for the Zambian people. To start with, what my brother, Honorable Windazoka, I wouldn't take it as an analysis that is independent. And he knows why I'm saying this. He knows what his leaning is right now. I will not discuss this. But the system of our elections is dependent on polling station to vote. The protection of that vote is at polling station level. What Zambians are going to do in that polling station should be the one that is reflected at all centers where the votes are being totaled. It is for that reason that we're seeing strange amendments to our law where they're saying once you vote, leave the polling station. What's the fear? What are you afraid of? Shouldn't I have the right to go by the patient and ensure that my vote is to ensure my will as a Zambian is the one that is going to supersede every other will, or at least the will of the governors? We should be able to organize ourselves to the smallest unit as an opposition, but also as Zambians, Patriotic Zambians, You who are being told to carry out these activities that subvert the will of the Zambians, posterity will judge you harshly. Remember to put your country first. This has been done before. People have tried before to subvert the will of their countrymen and women. But those that were entrusted to carry out this process stood firm and said, "We will not do what is wrong. We will serve the best interests of the country." I'm calling on all those that will be managing these elections, returning officers, polling agents, everyone that is concerned with an election, the ECZ, Madam Zalomis, to serve the interest of Zambians. Because if you take away this will or this right of the people to choose through the vote, the requirement which have been given to by law to be the right way to change leadership, the result of this denial would be ghastly to contemplate. We should not contemplate going in that direction. We should enable ourselves to ensure in place for ourselves, work to show the will of the people, work to ensure that the will of people is shown. And the word to the opposition is, let us open our eyes and see the bigger picture here. Indeed, we need to come together. But beyond coming together, we need to ensure that the Zambians have a credible election. And we'll call on all cooperating partners, all our neighbors in the bloc, or indeed organizations that we belong to, NGOs. For the first time in this country, at least from the time we got into multipartism, this is a time when the NGOs are downtrodden the most, are being shut up the most. We can't allow ourselves to continue. Protectors of democracy, institutions of democracy must be allowed to thrive. Not allowing them to thrive is unconstitutional. Not allowing them to be autonomous and independent is unconstitutional. It goes against the very law that we set for ourselves. And we must be able to protect these laws. The judiciary, I would call on the judiciary to do the right thing. For once, let us ensure that these institutions of democracy are protected. It would not be a responsibility for opposition to ensure that we have a free and fair election. It is your responsibility that when a matter is brought before you, you expeditiously deal with it and show the Zambians the course that it should take. It is your responsibility that has been given to you by the Zambians. They're saying this power which we have given to you, the judiciary, to do the right thing. So let the judiciary do the right thing. When a matter is brought, as urgent as it appears, deal with it and give direction to the country. A lawful one, not one that pleases this government. Are you capable of that? Are you capable, patriotic, and doing the right thing? Or should we wait for change to do an overhaul of judiciary, or at least an overhaul of the civil service, an overhaul of the legislature, an overhaul of our governance system to put us back on track? I do believe that we still have good men and women who are capable of doing the right thing. Good men and women who will follow the law for what it is and give the Zambians what they want. Let everything reflect the will of the Zambians, not the will of those that are governing. That is my call. Let us take it beyond the participants in this election and be the ones to take up this burden and say we have to carry Zambia forward through legit means that we have put for ourselves. That is what I would that would be my response to that question, Ambassador.